Shall we commence?
Sure.
The New York State Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law, Section 102, provides that the New York State Gaming Commission shall consist of 7 members, appointed by the governor by and with the advice and consent of the Senate. 5 members have been confirmed by the New York State Senate, thus affording the Commission an ability to establish quorum and undertake action. This present meeting of the Commission is now called to order. Establishment of a quorum requires 4 members being present. Please indicate when your name is called, your presence when your name is called. John Crotty?
Here.
Mark Guerin?
Present.
John Paklemba?
Here.
Barry Sample?
Here.
Todd Snyder? Mr. Snyder is not in attendance today. The record will reflect that a quorum of qualified members is present, thus enabling transaction of business. Further, for the, let me skip off here. We're joined today by Mr. Crotty, who wasn't certain he was going to be here today. So for the purposes, we are capable of conducting business, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Rob. And good afternoon, everyone. Continuing along with our agenda here, New York State Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law, Section 104.19, authorizes the Commission to promulgate rules and regulations that it deems necessary to carry out its responsibilities. In that regard, the Commission will, from time to time, promulgate rules and rule amendments pursuant to the State Administrative Procedure Act. Today's meeting has a singular purpose: to adopt regulations and documents necessary to permit the Gaming Facility Location Board to release the commercial casino gaming request for applications. Let me ask Rob Williams to call forth the first item.
For the Commission's consideration is a proposed emergency rulemaking prescribing the forms for the request for applications to develop and operate a gaming facility, more commonly referred to as the RFA, and for forms for applications for gaming facility licenses. Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law, Section 1307.2 requires the Commission to prescribe various application forms in its regulations. Emergency rulemaking is necessary to allow the Gaming Facility Location Board to issue the RFA. Under the proposal, a new part is established exclusively for gaming facility applications. These new rules will include provisions for the application to develop and operate a gaming facility, background investigations of the applicant, fingerprinting of the applicant's principals and officers, requiring the applicants to update their applications throughout the process, and setting an application fee. Sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rob. So I guess to the commissioners, any questions or discussion regarding the regulations? Mr. Williams has prepared those and they've been sent out to the Commission. Any questions or comments?
Yes, we've had a chance to review. Mr. Williams had sent them to us last week, and we have had an opportunity to review them in detail. We've had a few questions that were answered by staff, and we're prepared to go forward. I'm prepared to go forward.
Right.
We're all in the same. Good.
I know from my conversations with Rob, there have been those questions over the course of this time. May I have a motion then to adopt the emergency rulemaking?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Great. The motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Great. Hearing then, none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. And I take it, Rob, that Mr. Snyder is not on telephonically. Is that correct?
No, he was hoping that he'd be able to do that, but it really depended upon timing of his transportation and whether his meeting conflicted. Apparently they did conflict, so he's unavailable.
Okay. All right. Very good. Rob, do you want to call forth the final item then?
Certainly. As you are all aware, Commission staff has been working on the skeleton of a request for application. Since our last meeting, the Gaming Facility Location Board's Gaming Advisory Services consultant has been working with staff to refine the statutory elements and develop the non-discretionary elements of the RFA. Since our last meeting, we have also worked with the Gaming Facility Board's Gaming Advisory Services consultant, the New York State Police, and various Commission employees to create the documents necessary to advance the casino process. Basically, 4 forms have been forwarded. What we're looking at is the request for application, the RFA form itself, and other forms related to the applicant. Gaming facility license application form, a multi-jurisdictional personal history disclosure form, and a New York supplemental form to that multi-jurisdictional personal history disclosure form. The supplemental form includes questions that are relevant to New York investigators that are not otherwise included in the multi-jurisdictional form. Those forms have also been sent in advance to the members of the Commission.
In that regard, then, to the commissioners, any questions on the forms?
No.
Okay. May I would entertain a motion then to adopt the forms.
So moved.
Second.
Great. Any discussion? Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Well, this is good and important work, and Rob and I, in our conversations, I think it's important for the Commission and on this in this meeting to publicly indicate that for the purposes of the RFA, the Commission is now in the restricted period. All individuals interested in discussion of the RFA or the RFA procedure should contact Gail Thorpe or Stacy Relation at our contract administrative unit. And I guess to Rob or to Lee, their contact information, I would imagine, is explicitly listed in the RFA and is easily identifiable on our website.
Yes,
Is that
it
correct?
will be clearly posted. Yeah, it'll be clearly posted on the website on the tab for casino gaming. We're also going to put it on the front page as well of our website.
So in our interest in putting the information clearly forward in transparency, that will be clearly there. Great. Please.
Sir?
Is there a record of that then?
Of the,
People who contacted?
yes, they will be making a record of contacts.
And all contacts that we receive, I'm assuming that's what we direct.
That would be preferable.
Correct.
Okay.
What does that mean? Rob, anything else for guidance for in this restricted period, or anything to be noted beyond what I indicated for this contact piece?
I think the most important element is to make sure that people are aware, if they approach you, that you're not going to talk about the contents of the RFA, you're not going to talk about applications, you're not going to talk about process. You prefer to move all of that to a singular source, Ms. Thorpe or her assistant, Stacy Relation, and that they will then transmit any information that's necessary to clarify with any questions that you might receive. But in other words, using the 2 individuals as a fulcrum for all contacts rather than making any sort of contacts yourself.
Mm-hmm. And in order to ensure even information and consistent information is distributed, I suspect.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that, if there's no other discussion, concludes our published agenda for today. Do any of the commissioners have any additional items that they would like to present for consideration or conversation?
No, sir.
One of the things I would mention, I mentioned this at the last meeting. I'm very grateful to Rob and Lee and the Commission staff generally. We have put together the public forum on problem gambling. So that there'll be notifications sent out. I think it promises to be a very important discussion. It's on Wednesday, April 9th in Albany. So information will be forthcoming. But I think this is a very important step for us as we begin this process to bring in experts within New York State, outside of the state, from academia, from advocacy groups, and for those treatment providers and individuals in recovery to really take the kind of time that we need and must do at this stage to look at this issue and to make certain that as we commence this process, the issue, some of the realities, and what we can be doing about problem gambling are putting forth. Anything else on that, Rob or Lee, that we wanted to make sure the Commission was broadly aware of?
Yes, the date's going to be April 9th at 10 a.m. And like I said, I think we imagine it's going to run the full day.
We will be holding that at the Empire State Plaza in one of the meeting rooms. We are going to issue a meeting notice or a hearing notice on that very shortly. We already have quite a number of individuals who have responded and confirmed their attendance, and it is shaping up to be what can be an extraordinarily useful activity.
And is Oasis going to be with?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
The commissioner from Oasis will actually be sitting with us
Very good.
tomorrow, or during that hearing.
I would say to the commissioners, I've worked with Rob and Lee Park on this, and I really do commend our agency staff for their focus in bringing this together in relatively short order. But our initial agenda and what we're looking to is a dazzling group of expertise and advocacy folks and providers to really bring this conversation to the forefront so that we can identify best practices for casino operators and regulators to implement those and address those challenges that we know exist. So I very much look forward to being in Albany on April 9th and commend the Commission staff for their focus on this. Okay, well, with that, any other items that we need to go through before the Commission? Presuming none, well then I would suggest this meeting of the Commission is adjourned, and I thank you all for your attendance.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.